Initiatives against human trafficking aren't working. Nearly 1 million of human trafficked victims are moved across the international border every year on the black market. Many people might not realize this, but human trafficking is a major concern. Many victims are being left behind or overlooked. They're not being treated like they should be. They should be one of our major concerns. Now the government is giving less and less money to victims. Although there are many initiatives around the world, few are given help and many are left behind. Also, human trafficking victims need time to get financially stable again. For them, this can be hard. They have to be able to get back to society and leave behind what they've been through. In the article, Failure to Help Victims is Blind Spot Against Human Trafficking, states that Nigerian government gave payments to 47 out of 77 victims who needed payments. Also, that payments had decreased from $2,200 per person to a measly $425 per person. The fact that the few victims who do receive payments are getting less and less money illustrates that they are not given the chance to find the financial stability they need, because if they are already struggling to own basic necessities, they can be vulnerable to fall victim to human trafficking or other abusive situations. Next, M. Shimray, assistant of a child protection organization, states there is a strong link between poverty, consumerism, level of skills, and adequate employment opportunities. Disparities brought by the above factors create a climate which encourages those with less skills and competence to take risks and become vulnerable to trafficking. The most logical conclusion we can draw from this evidence is that human trafficked victims are being left behind, and these victims are more vulnerable than others and more susceptible to taking risks and to achieve stability. Our next reason is people are spending money, but it's not working. Money has not been used effectively. Between 2003 and 2008, the government has spent $3 million on initiatives against human trafficking, and the total global funding was $106.5 million. The only way a government with $3 million debt would spend an extra $106.5 million would be if the first $3 million did nothing. Also in the article, poverty is one factor contributing to human trafficking. It says that human trafficking industry is thriving because it is so low risk. When they say low risk, it shows how police can be easily avoided, and if they do get caught, they have no major jail time or no charges at all. The most logical conclusion we can draw from this evidence is that money is being misused and we aren't enforcing the law as we should be. Our final reason is that human trafficking victims are being overlooked and not treated like a major concern. It's time to use the power we have effectively to end human trafficking. In the article, Human Trafficking Survivors Urge Us to Take Action, talks about the law SB 657 and how it gave power to the state of California to stop human trafficking, but are failing to enforce it. Congress has been avoiding the issue and has not taken action. The fact that when power is given to a very powerful state already, aren't enforcing it, shows the lack of attention given to the dangerous situation. Another example from Human Trafficking Survivors Urge Us to Take Action talks about one or two herself was flown by a third party to the U.S., promising her a job at a hotel in Chicago. After paying a recruitment fee and arriving in the U.S., she says the man that picked her up confiscated her passport and forced her into sexual slavery until she was able to escape. This is significant because someone who was promised a future in the U.S. had it taken away so easily because we weren't paying attention. Human trafficking has become a second priority by giving less and less money to victims, leaving victims behind, and them being overlooked. Human trafficking is a major concern and should be treated like that.
My opponent had said that anti-trafficking organizations aren't doing anything to stop human trafficking, but I disagree with this argument. In the world, there are 100+ anti-trafficking organizations worldwide that are trying to stop human trafficking. According to my research, 27 million people are being trafficked worldwide and only 100 are being trafficked in the United States today. That means that American anti-trafficking groups are stopping human trafficking. America is the third most populated country in the world. There are 320 million people and counting that live in all 50 states, and only 100,000 people are being trafficked. This means that anti-trafficking organizations are doing something to stop human trafficking. Therefore, anti-trafficking organizations are putting a stop to human trafficking. My opponent also said that that the United States plays a huge role in it. But I disagree with this argument because the United States is also a country that spends a lot of the money trying to stop human trafficking and to help its victims of it. According to my research, the United States of America has spent over $1 billion trying to stop human trafficking. Therefore, the United States of America may play a huge role in human trafficking, but does a huge role to eradicate the crime, and help the victims of it.
Human trafficking is a form of modern slavery where people profit from the control and exploitation of others. Human trafficking is a global threat to many men, women, and children. When they are involved in trafficking, many horrible things can happen to them. They are deprived from their freedom, they can be tortured, have little to no food, and be raped. People get lured in by many ways. Youth get involved usually by lack of understanding or their parents sell them into it. Adults get involved being promised a better life or poor people who need any job they can get. The victims can suffer many consequences. According to EWAA, they can get bodily diseases, psychological diseases, pregnancy, abortion, and even death. There's a reason this brought out a war in our own country. It's because slavery and trafficking is not right under any circumstance, and we're trying to stop it again today. Anti-trafficking initiatives are raising awareness and helping in eradicating the issue. Although there are more people being trafficked today, the percentage since the 1850s has gone down. In 1850, the population was 23,191,876 in the United States. In the United States now, there was 308,745,538, which is over 5 times as much. There were approximately 3.8 million enslaved out of about 23 million back then. Now there are 21 to 36 million out of 308 million. The percentage of slaves has gone down about 6%, which means that human trafficking initiatives are working and getting less people involved. The Race in Europe project is a 2-year initiative by Anti-Slavery International and its partners to improve knowledge about the nature and scale of trafficking of children and adults for forced criminal exploitation and forced begging across Europe. The Anti-Trafficking Monitoring Group was established in May 2009 to coincide with the entry into force of the Council of Europe Convention on Action Against Trafficking in Human Beings in the United Kingdom. The RACE project is targeted to help save human trafficking victims and convict guilty felons. In the United States, hundreds of people are being saved from human trafficking. According to testimony by Joseph B. Campbell, in July 2013, the FBI went to 76 cities, rescued over 100 sexually exploited children, and arrested 150 pimps. This is significant because anti-trafficking initiatives are working because they are getting involved in using police searches. Strategies are also working in other countries, such as Sweden. They started a plan called the Swedish Way. Based on my research of the Swedish Way, it states that when they find illegal trafficking, they don't arrest the person trafficked who has been forced to do terrible things, maybe illegal, but they arrest the owners. And they try to help the trafficked person from their traumatizing experience. Everyone has a role in stopping human trafficking, and with the work being done now, we're on the verge of a breakthrough.
Excuse me. My opponent may say that people are being caught for human trafficking in the Swedish way, that they are punishing the human traffickers instead of the people who are trafficked. But my team disagrees. People are not being caught for human trafficking. In the article, poverty is not the only factor contributing to human trafficking, states that human trafficking is a low-risk, almost job, I guess. And the way that they say low risk implies to me that people who are being caught aren't punished or are even rarely caught because we're not doing enough. They say that the percent of slaves in America are decreasing, but they also failed to mention that the number of people being trafficked is increasing. This is just more proof that we need to do more against human trafficking. They also say that there are many agencies out there raising awareness for human trafficking, but very few of these are working with the government. These are all private organizations going out and spending their time and money. America is not spending their time with trying to decrease human trafficking. Let's see. At the beginning, my opponent listed off many terrible things that happened to slaves, how they were tortured, beaten, and often just all around abused. This is just more proof that we need to do more to stop human trafficking.